It's been kind of a strange week for the crypto market. What I mean by that is we've had some good news, we've had some bad news, we've had some good macro data, we've had some bad macro data. And because of that, we've dealt with a lot of chop across the space. In fact, ADA over the course of the week is down maybe about 1%. So actually a pretty modest week for ADA. And we're seeing a lot of resilience compared to many other assets in the space. And that's what we want to see right now. And what I want to talk about is this something that is going to continue into next week? And I don't think that is going to be the case, because what we are seeing are some very distinct trends that I think a lot of people are ignoring. And eventually retail is going to follow this. So if you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, hit that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So ADA right now is kind of flipping between a red and a green day, have a little bit of a doji candle starting. We're right on the edge of our trend, and we're trying to make a decision on where we're going to head today. Frankly, I don't know what way we're going to head today. It's obviously a lower volume day in general, $63 billion in daily trading volume. ADA floating around $500 million. That's been pretty much where ADA has been on the weekend. So we're seeing a pretty distinct level of consistency. All right. We're still slightly above the broken out on the stochastic RSI, which is a great sign. That still could obviously flip one way or the other. And the big story of this weekend is BTC. BTC down about 1% is really dragging just everything else down. You can see most assets are down 3, 4, 5% or so. So ADA's having a pretty good day overall. So that's not anything to complain about. Now, the question is this a trend that is going to extend into next week? And I don't think that's going to be the case. And why I'm saying this is we are having a very consistent trend that's kind of flying under the radar. First of all, the S&P has actually recorded its 9th consecutive day of gains, which is the longest streak in 20 years. So you're actually seeing a lot of that confidence resume in the stock market. Why that's so important is if you guys remember throughout the early part of 2025 here, we've dealt with stock market dumping, some of the worst dump days we have seen in history, right? And that has unfortunately bled over to the crypto market. It's created a lot of uncertainty in the space. But now, as the stock market shows strength, as risk assets are starting to show strength, retail tends to get more excited. They're more willing to open up their wallets and accumulate, which has been kind of a sticking point as of late, right? We've talked about USDT dominance, the fact that it will not fall below 5%. It just keeps hanging on right about here. And this is because retail just hasn't quite flocked in yet. It's the same reason why we've seen BTC dominance rising. Right now, we're closing in on about 65%. And understand that that's okay. The higher that BTC dominance goes, the more chasing takes place, right? The larger the flow you see to altcoins. Hopefully that makes sense for people. All right. So eventually some of those profits spill over. Eventually you see retail start chasing. You create those liquidations like we were talking about yesterday, and the ball gets rolling and things are exciting, right? Now, why this is so important as well is when we're talking about the stock market, BTC is continuing that very distinct trend versus the S&P. So we have many times before have had this consolidation phase versus the S&P, and then you have a breakout, right? And that's what we've been on here as of late. We've been on a breakout versus the S&P 500, and why this is so interesting is we played out into this exact same formation back in the early part of 2024, right before we obviously saw a big major run in the crypto market. We actually broke out. We had kind of this small consolidation phase, kind of like we're seeing right now. Go figure. And then we saw alts go on a massive run. This was actually from basically when this bottomed, it was February 23rd of 2024. And then this ran all the way up until around March 11th, March 12th or so. If you guys remember during that time, that's when ADA performed exceptionally well, right? We saw ADA run from, oh gosh, what was it? I think we dropped to like 48 cents, if my memory serves me right. 45 cents. About 45 cents, and then we saw ADA just go on a massive tear all the way up to 81 cents. I'm not saying that ADA is about to do a 100% move, but that's kind of what we've been talking about. Alts are getting ready to accelerate in a big way, but everything else just has to be conducive for that. You need to understand that, okay? So we're prepping for that. We continue to see these strong signs from institutional money as well. Institutional players, again, just a massive day of adding $674 million worth of BTC added. BlackRock did all of it. They definitely took on the heavy load this week. And this was actually the third largest week of adding here in 2025. So institutional accumulation is up. We had the largest week of 2025 last week. We had the third largest week of 2025 this week. So this is a very big deal. And this is mostly helping BTC right now, but this is starting to shift the confidence in the crypto market. Very good sign. Now, how this will relate to ADA is, again, when retail confidence is high, when money starts flowing, ADA tends to see some of those highest inflows across the crypto space. So that is where ADA can really wake up, break out, do well like we've been talking about. Now, I do want to talk about something else here as well, and that is Ouroboros Leios, because Charles Hoskinson did a live stream back on May 1st that I didn't get a chance to talk about yet. And what he was actually highlighting was some of the actual quantitative performance figures for Ouroboros Leios, as well as the timeline that we may in fact see this come out. Now, what he was pointing to was that depending on these different input blocks and transaction signs, you could see a huge boost in scalability in terms of Cardano. For example, the minimum transaction, which it used, was about 250 bytes at 30 input blocks, actually is 11,790 transactions per second. And I'm not sure whether this is individual transactions or UTXO transactions, meaning that we need to remember there are transactions inside of transactions. So this could even be well beyond this 11,790 transactions per second. Right now, the average transaction size on Cardano is about 300 bytes. Obviously, as you get into 1,400 bytes, you're talking about more smart contracts, and 16,000 bytes per transaction is a pretty significant size transaction. All right. And obviously, there have been things to help bring down transaction size, but understand that this obviously isn't the only way that Cardano is increasing scalability. We've talked about Hydra, Mithril, Midgard, many of these other things that over time have helped build Cardano into this just major beast in terms of scalability. And we're on the verge of seeing Cardano easily be the most scalable blockchain in all of crypto. That's a very big deal. Now, as far as the timeline goes, what he said was that we obviously need to go through this different testing and roll out in terms of SIPs. And so we could, in fact, be voting on this as in early 2026. Now, some people are going to absolutely hate that timeline. And that's okay, because understand that, one, a lot of these DeFi moves, like we've been talking about, they occur later on in market cycles. And we're either going to see still a market cycle that tops out later this year, or we're going to see something that extends into 2026, potentially a super cycle. Okay. That's just the path that we've kind of been heading down, at least as of right now. But what we need to see again is still need to see preparation for this. We need to see voting take place. We still need to see more data as well. It needs to be perfect, right? We can't be having issues. Now, the great news about this is if there are issues, this protocol actually has the ability to roll back to the native state, which is kind of interesting. So if there are issues, it can actually roll back to original scalability. Kind of a very interesting design. But I just wanted to share that with you guys. We have a lot of good things working in our favor right now. You know, I think we're going to be getting into a lot of green in the very short term. And by very short term, you know, just for a little bit of context, guys, we've now had 2 straight green months in terms of ADA. This month has started out on a green note as well. And I believe this is going to be one of the larger green months we have seen in a while here. You know, maybe it blows January out of the water. Am I ready to say that this is going to be a November candle month yet? I mean, we're potentially there, but you just need to see, again, confidence resume. We need to see macro data continue to be good. We need to have just the wind keep blowing in our sails to help carry us to some of these higher highs. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.